Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of our series, Why Faith Attracts Heaven. And wow, it's been the perfect week for us to be talking about this because our family this week has had to have faith. But I'm also going to tell you some stories where through the last 4 days of having this faith, God has shown up and shown himself to be faithful. So for the last 4 days, if you don't know, our middle daughter, 9-year-old Savannah, has been in the hospital. The hospital is 2 hours away from our house. So my wife, Yinling, was there with her for those 4 days. And throughout those 4 days, as I was here with our other two daughters, taking care of them and also doing my job, and I was also actually working on a major project. I was building a 10 by 5 table and 6 benches and kind of had a hard deadline of this Saturday. So I was working late at night on that and during the day on my job and taking care of the girls. And Yinling was with Savannah in the hospital. In the middle of all that, God showed up. So I want to tell you a few ways that God showed up. One is that on Wednesday, when she first got admitted to the hospital, we didn't think anything was wrong. I mean, she was smiling. She was generally feeling okay. She had a little bit of a fever, and that's why Yinling took her to our primary care doctor. But then all of a sudden, they tested her oxygen levels, and they were very low. So they decided to admit her. Well, I had some friends coming over to move this massive 10 by 5 heavy table from our garage. Then we had to walk outside and around the house and into our living room. This is a pretty big undertaking. And they were supposed to be here at 3 o'clock. Well, that's when we had to leave to pick up our two girls. And we thought Yinling would be able to pick them up because there was no big deal, nothing that wrong with Savannah. Well, that turned out to not be the case. So she called and said, well, you've got to go pick them up. And I said, well, these guys are coming over. We got to get this table moved. And, I don't know what we're going to do. Guess what? They showed up at 2:30 instead of 3. They were 30 minutes early. Even though it was raining outside and this table is so massive, we got it moved in less than 30 minutes. I actually had extra time. And I called Yinling and I said, yeah, God worked it out. And, when Yinling called and told me, I can't do it. And I said, you know what? I said to her, it'll get worked out. God will take care of it somehow. And then the next day, we found out that they were going to be in this hospital 2 hours away for another couple of days. Well, I was still taking care of our two girls, but I heard from our pastor that he and then our associate pastor were going to drive up and see Yinling. I said, oh my goodness, I was just thinking today, how am I going to get clothes, a change of clothes and, shampoo and, and some headphones and everything else, that they needed and they wanted to them, while two girls are also here and I'm working on all the things that I'm working on. So I was able to give, a bag to our pastors and they were awesome, so awesome to drive it up to them and give it to them. God provided. By the way, you might say these are small things. I say these are huge things. This is where God shows up when we don't know how we're going to get something done. So then on Friday, we have to go out and do some grocery shopping. So I get our two girls here in the car and we go. And I also want to run my car through the car wash because it's been snowing here and it's dirty. And so I say, let's do a quick car wash, then we'll go to the grocery store. So we get up to the car wash. It usually takes credit cards. Well, the credit card machine wasn't working this time. It would take $10 bills and it's a $10 car wash, but I didn't have a $10 bill. Then I glance over the side and I see in the change drawer of this kind of self-automated, whatever it's called, you punch the button and you do it, car wash, that in the change drawer, which is supposed to be coins, if anything, there's not supposed to be anything really, was a $10 bill. And there's wind outside. Why hadn't this $10 bill been blown away? What was a $10 bill doing in a coin change drawer? I don't know. But my credit card wouldn't work. It was $10. And I pick up the $10 bill. I put it in. It takes a $10 bill and we get a car wash. And I turn around to the girls and I say, girls, God is providing for us. He just gave us a car wash. They're like, oh, cool, Dad. That's so cool. Once again, it might sound like a small thing, but there's too many of them for it to all be coincidence, in my opinion. And then on Saturday, before we went and picked up my wife and Savannah, for whatever reason, I was cleaning out my wallet, and I guess I hadn't done it in a long time because I found a check for $500 in my wallet from last November. Now, first of all, it says I'm a little irresponsible, right? But I should have deposited it back then. But that's kind of like $500 in free money I didn't even know about. I run over to Annabelle and Tallulah and I go, guys, you know how God gave us a car wash yesterday? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, he gave us $500 today. What is this? And they're like, what? That's awesome. Give me some. And I'm like, no, somebody gave us $500. As I look back over the last 4 days and the 3 nights when they were in the hospital, I went to bed each night. I mean, I was exhausted, taking care of the girls, doing my job, working on the table, worried about Savannah, checking in with them, all these different things. But I go to bed at night and I just say, God, man, if I could get you to, I'd love for you to wave a magic wand and just make everything okay. But I know that's not life. So more than anything, God, give me faith. I want to have faith in you. I want to trust you. And I was kind of yearning for it. I was like, God, I want to have faith. But he just kind of whispered to me there as I lay on my bed, at night alone, at the end of a long day, a long few days. And he said to me, Billy, wanting to have faith is just the same as having faith. I was like, what? Say that again? He said to me, faith isn't a feeling. You don't get a feeling where you go, oh, and now I have faith. I just totally believe in you. He said, that's not faith. He said, that's a feeling. He said, if I gave you $1 million today, how would you feel? Would you have any faith in me? I'd be like, yeah. He said, what if I took it away tomorrow? How would that feeling be then? I said, yeah, I guess I'd be a little sad, not as excited. He said, that's right. Faith isn't a feeling. Faith is a decision. Faith is an action. Faith is a want to. James chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. Look it up. James 2, 14 through 26 says, faith without works is dead. I used to think that meant that if you have faith in God, then you will go out and be a missionary or help the poor or, do something nice. We should do all those things. But I used to think it meant, you have no faith if you don't do those things. What I mean is I used to think faith was one thing, and then action was the result of it. And God said, that's not true. Faith is action. Faith is saying, God, in the middle of the storm, I want to believe in you. And I just lay there at night and said, man, I don't feel it completely, but I choose to say, I want to believe in you. And man, do you see how God showed up? He got those guys to come early to move that massive hunk of a table so that I could go pick up the girls, not knowing that I was going to have to go pick them up, on time. He showed up, in that car wash. He did more than show up. He blessed us in a big way. With that $500, he showed up by having my pastor email me on the morning of the day when I was wondering, how am I going to get extra clothes and stuff to Yinling and Savannah 2 hours away? But the pastor emails me and says, hey, I'm thinking about heading out there. And I write back and say, can you take a bag with you? And he says, yeah, absolutely I can. I go, God, this is God. So I just want to encourage you. Faith does attract heaven. Now, does that mean life's going to be perfect? Does that mean, my daughter with an undiagnosed genetic condition and scoliosis and lordosis and a weak body and downstairs right now on an oxygen machine, that life's going to be easy? No, it doesn't mean that. That's not, that's a whole nother video, but that's not what life's about. But faith is so powerful because it's not a feeling. It's not even a choice. It is a choice, but it's a choice to say, God, I want faith. But it's not even something we can conjure up. It requires His grace. What I'm saying is there's grace for you. What I'm saying is you can choose to trust God even when you don't feel it. What I'm saying is that even as you might be sitting there in the midst of your storm and go, you know what, Billy, though, I've just run out of faith. I don't have faith anymore. I don't feel it. I would say to you what God said to me. Wanting faith is just as powerful as having faith. Wanting faith is all you need to do. Just say, God, I want to believe that you're faithful. I want to believe that you're here, that you're with me, that you're at work in my life. And if you'll just say those words, that's it. You don't have to go beyond that. You don't have to muster something up. Just say it. And I promise you, He will show up and be with you and provide for you. And you'll be so glad you trusted in Him. Thanks, guys.